Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and I'm home from Gen Con, and I was able to pick up quite a few Gundam deck lists while I was over there, and I'm excited to go over them with you guys as well, especially since this is essentially the first competitive weekend of the Gundam card game since launch, and there's some really cool builds that I'm really excited to go over with you guys. So if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of Gundam content, and I don't want you guys to miss it. Also, if you guys want to check out any of the deck lists that we went over today, or many others, you can find them on my website, Egman Events, which is linked in the description as well. But we did have 4 constructed events at Gen Con, one for every day, which were 64 players from that. There also was a larger Japanese event that happened officially at the Bandai quarters there. So you can see the kind of archetype breakdown that we have on the website here. I only have currently 6 of the deck lists for this event. We are going to go over, I think, all of them, or at least most of them for this one, but you guys can check out what these look like. And then also for the Gundam events that are happening at Gen Con, they did not collect deck lists for this, so there's no database. All of this has been kind of hand collected from me just being there at the event and asking people and finding the deck list. If you guys have any more that you guys want added to this table, please let me know. I'd love to see a couple more as well, but we got a good amount of them, and I think there's some great deck lists we can go over as well. I think we got like first and second place for each event too, which are, you know, the important ones, but we do have quite the variety, and again, looking forward to going over it. So again, if you guys want any of these deck lists, you can find them on my website, Egman Events, link to the description, and let's get started. So first, I did win one of these, and so I'm going to be kind of greedy. I'm going to start off with my own deck list, but I almost made like 2 separate videos, and if I had internet at my hotel at Gen Con, I would have made a video at there, but I just didn't because I did not have internet. So real quick, I have my build of the red-blue Cyber-NewType aggro that I played on Saturday. On Friday, I played a green-white Wing Gundam, which was 50 for 50 for the video, or the deck list that I made in the video right before I left. This build is a little bit different from the build that I had in my Gen Con video, just based off some testing Thursday night going on into Friday, making some changes. Also, I didn't know that I was part of a trend for it until it happened, but there were 3 red and blue kind of aggro lists that were able to win 3 of the 4 events that happened. So not only did I win with this one, but on Thursday, the day before, we have Daniel with their build of it here, and I actually did play him in Swiss, and it was pretty nasty. I think this was a really solid build. And then also Ben Ferris was able to get a top finish on Sunday as well, so making some minor changes, I think basically based on what ratios he had available to him. But both these lists are pretty much the same. These are both from Ben as well as Daniel, and also Garrett. If you guys want more information, you can check out his channel, which is linked in the description. I know that he's going to have some more kind of overview for these decks in general, but I want to have that there. So generally though, if you're looking at mine, I think the way that I was kind of focused on building it was just going super low to the ground. I'm not generally an aggressive player or an aggro player, but I do think that this deck in particular has a couple lines that aren't very obvious, and they are also kind of taking advantage of kind of the better blockers that exist right now. So in my personal opinion though, the kind of interaction that works the best in this deck is just having Gundam on curve and using Amuro with it. Worst case, it could also be a Merida Cruise as well, but this card being able to get that +1 AP if you are paired with anything is really good. This deck goes really, really wide, so that means that there are some times where I play a couple copies of these 2-drop 1 level 2 1 cost, these 2/2s of the Jin and the Jim, and being able to use those, we can bump it up to a 3 with the Gundam effect, which means that we can pressure EX bases as well as some additional blockers, which is really nice. So that helps get that conversion there. We also have this is also called like the ping build as well. So being able to use cards like Gun Tank as well as the Anksha to get that extra damage in case we need to get some good trades there. And then we do have like Rizal, which is just a great card for stat wise. And on our level 4s, we do also have the Kshatriya Vanilla, which is great for linking with the Merida. It's kind of our backup link play on 4, and then also the level 5 Kshatriya, which this is great at also just kind of cleaning up the board a lot of the time. The fact that this can do 2 damage to a single target essentially if you link it with Merida is really nice. So that is really helpful, and making that a 7 attack. And then our top end is the Banshee Destroyer story mode, which I personally didn't end up playing this card a lot in the builds that I did play. It is really helpful for against like some blocker builds that go late game and you just kind of need that extra pressure. But generally, I felt like I was winning more times than not. If anything, this was just like an extra copy in my mind of like Kashatra, since we're only playing the 3, that really helped us. So the only other card I'd say was a little bit atypical, but I really like was the Corsissa base here, our Corsica base here, being able to use this to just make a 4-2 body on curve. The fact that this lets you draw a card is really nice. And if you end up sitting both of them, there are so many times where I'm like, hey, this is the late game. Having 2 1-drop bodies are really good, because this does help us just close out a lot of games. So I really like this card. I think it was great, especially if we end up going first, which I think we are technically better going first, but there are just, most decks want to go second, so taking away second is generally better in those cases. But I was really happy with how this 50 works. So I made one minor change from Friday to Saturday. While on Saturday, I ended up going 4-1 and getting 5th place with this list, as I took out one copy of Banshee. I put one copy of the 3-drop gun cannon just to have another Amro link for it as well. Also, if you don't like Gyro Zulu, you also can just use the gun cannon too. But I did think this was a good card for not only just having Marita, but just as a backup like 3-2. There are just so many times where like gun cannon, I didn't have like a link or some way to buff it up, and then I couldn't like really pressure an EX base a lot of the time. So, and I felt like as long as we found Amro, we are already getting like the resting and interaction that we wanted. So really happy about this deck. I wasn't going to play this on Saturday, but I picked up the wrong deck when I left my hotel room, and I just ended up having to play this. So otherwise I would have played green and blue. I just did not have the cards on me when the tournament was starting, so I had to play this one, and I was still rewarded for it. So there's my build, and then we also do have the build here from again Daniel and Ben, and both of them looking again pretty similar. I think the biggest differences that we'll see is that we're having a little bit less of the level 2s here. We are playing the gun cannon, and there is the additional add of the Battle of Aces. So this being able to just get 3 damage. I know some people were asking if I was running close combat, and I think that this card is almost always better. I think the only thing in the meta that is better for close combat is an early Zort, but this just helps you get some really fantastic trades in the mid to late game. 3 damage is a lot in this game. We really don't have anything else that really does 3 damage like this one. So really strong card, I think, in some situations, and so running it at 2 makes sense for it there. So not much more to say. I think this deck is really fast. It's very aggressive. If you're not ready for it, you're going to lose in like 4 turns, and it is really nasty if you're able to get it off. So congratulations to Daniel and Ben as well for their finishes. And for our other event, we did have a green and blue version of the Earth Federation aggro build, is what I'm calling this. This is something that a team called Team Everything Games, they had a couple of their players just all play the same deck across the weekend, and we had Sand win one of the events, the one on Saturday with this build in particular. But I know that the players were Sand, Cold Flame, NDR Victor, Ace the Fire Fist, Vegeta Uchiha, and then they also had a lot of help from their friends Jahil and Joe Hill as well to try to get this deck working. So they were able to get 6 top 16s across 2 events with this build specifically, including a win as well. So I haven't really seen a kind of Earth Federation build of aggro before this too, which I think is really cool. I have seen a little bit of like the blue and green like Zeon Aggro, which we'll also see in this video, but the kind of identity of this is having this kind of Earth Federation trait. So already Rizal, I think, has been a really good card, as I've seen in like the red and blue build. We also have the G-Gon here. So when you have 2 or more Earth Federation units in play, you can reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 1, which when I first saw this, I felt that this was kind of like a lacking effect. But when there are so many good Earth Federation cards that we're already playing, and sometimes we just need to have another body on board at a given time to kind of pressure your opponent, this ends up, I think, happening a lot more often. There's so many times where I'm like, man, I just have this one resource empty, so something like G-Gun can really take that slot there. We are only playing Amuro as our only pilot, which I think is really interesting, but being able to use this to, again, like this is, I think, unironically one of the best generic pilots in the entire game. The +2/+1 is great. The fact that the when paired effect is just when paired, and most units in this game are 5 or less HP, except for some late game boss monsters. So any rush is great. The fact that you are able to kind of go for game with it is really good. And again, any card can like pair with this and feel happy about it, which is really strong. So we're only playing 1 base as well. We're also only playing 1 like command by itself with 1 copy of Show Resolve, and we also are playing the Fortress Defense, our Dozel Zabi. So it's a level 5 2 cost, but main deploy 2 Zaku 2 1 AP 1 HP unit tokens. So kind of the same thing with the base, is that there are just some weird times where I'm like, well, they don't have a base up, or they have only so many blockers. Having two bodies, even if they're 1/1s, they can do a lot of damage and they can go for game. So I like the idea of this card. It is a bit expensive for this deck. Like sometimes I think like perhaps the +1 AP can be helpful for doing some trades or getting the pilot in there. I also think, like, again, Gundam with a pilot underneath it, doesn't matter what it is so nice in so many situations too. But again, I think this is a cool ad that helps out the deck as well. So I don't really have anything else though to say about this deck. It's really cool that, you know, they are able to build it together and get so much success together. I have a link to the shop's Twitch channel too, that I do some grinding on there too, and you can make sure to check that out. But you know, big shout outs to Sand and the entire group there for their performances. And yeah, this is the the fourth winning deck. This is the Saturday Gen Con winning deck there. So next up, we've got the blue and green Zeon Aggro. So this is Abe's build. It's either Abe or Abe. I do apologize, I do not know the pronunciation for it, but they were able to get first place in one of the pods for the release event in Japan with this build of, I would say, a blue-green Zeon Aggro. I've been kind of tinkering with this. I, again, have a build that I've been working on that does have, I'd say, I think about 40 cards the same as this one right now. The big things to kind of mention in it as well is that, you know, I think this deck being able to have so many 1-drops is helpful for the deck. We've got Dop as well as the Pisces and the Zaku 1. All these are just very, very good cards. We also do have the Gun Tank as well, being able to use this to get that ping damage. And then also, like Zaku 2, if you're going second, this is probably the best, if not one of the best units to play on curve, just because it can pressure an EX base so happily. So we also do have the Char Zaku 2s. We have the G Fighter, which this being able to get the high maneuver, not even on like itself, but even like on like any of your bodies, is really, really nice. It does help you kind of go for game. And I've seen a lot of people put this card in, something that maybe I was sleeping on a little bit. It seems just like a really great card. We also have the Goof, being able to use this to make another token is good. We've got the Char's Gelgoog, being able to just get high maneuver for the cost of having another Zeon card in your hand and having Char early in the game. And again, you're going to see a lot of blue decks. This card is just really great. It just gets so much value if you're able to link it with Amuro. You can make this a 6 AP and get rid of stuff like Desert Base. You can get really favorable trades because you have 5 HP and Repair 2, which is a little bit insane. And I think this card is just really, really good right now in so many ways. So other than that, we do have the Char and the Amuro. We do have our Fall Mail as our base here, but it's a pretty, I think, basic build, but really standard for what it is. I do think that, you know, you might want to afford having a copy or two of Show of Resolve just to help you find some answers in the late game to get into, you know, get there, especially since we do really need to find Char in so many of our games. But other than that, I think this is a really cool build, and congratulations to Abe for their finish there. I also want to go over just some quick tech cards I've also seen in these builds, and these are based off some other decks that won this or got tops this weekend. We do have Caleb's build here from the Friday constructed event, as well as the build here from Defeat on Saturday. He was playing, I know Defeat specifically, he was playing a lot. He was tinkering with the deck a lot, and had some just really cool tech cards I want to go over. But from Caleb specifically, I think one card to mention is the I'm never going to say this correctly, or at least correctly, confidently, Makuviv here, being able to use this as just Breach 1 is good. It's just great. Like, there's so many times where you like, all right, I have either Breach 0, Breach 1, or Breach Infinity, right? Those are the 3 states of Breach that exist in this game, more or less. And so just having Breach 1, turning any of your units into something that can trade, like even turning Dop into like a Breach target, make it a 2/2 to trade for some blocker or something, or get 4 value, and still get that Breach 1, I think is really handy in a lot of situations. I think Amuro is still a really good card. I think Char is just a really good card. Both these are just pilots that essentially give you +2 AP and let you get around blockers or interact with the board in a way that just helps you a lot. So I think that's just a really good like additional pilot for the deck as well. And then we also have the build here from Defeat, where one thing is that I know he just didn't have these Zakus on hand, so he's using the Pisces as their 1-drop 1/2s. I would definitely play these Zakus if you did have them on hand, but also, again, having like the G Fighter, that high maneuver is really nice. but also having the copies of Siege Ploy and Intercept Orders too. These are just really great cards for letting you interact with your opponent's board. Choose 1 or 2 enemy units with 3 or less HP and rest them, which is a lot of just board units that exists in this game right now. Also, the burst effect from both of these just being like a way for you to get interaction when your opponent's not expecting it, right? It's kind of like better than a base sometimes, right? Because you're not losing the life and you can rest something that your opponent was expecting. So not having any bases, I think, is quite the choice for the deck too. But I know this is kind of a build that he was working on really hard. I played him in 2 of my events as well, and all of our games are really close as well. So here's the build here from Defeat, and those are our blue and green Zeon Aggro decks I want to go over. So we also do have the other Japanese pod. So this is the build here from Serimaru. It's their build of Wing Zero, and honestly, it's really interesting to see how similar like a build like this is between like the builds I've been seeing in English versus the builds I've been seeing as a build in like Japan. So even though we're like, in different formats, you're going to see a lot of decks that I think are a little bit different, but this one I think is pretty similar to what we've been seeing. But the tech cards that I see specifically are, one, the Peaceful Timber. This being able to just be a level 4 Operation Meteor pilot as a command is really nice. Being able to just, if you need to put something on the Death Scythe to get that extra ramp, that card can fill that condition and get there. We're not seeing any of the bird mode either, which I think is a bit atypical. Most people are playing that card, but we are playing 4 copies of Striker Pack. So this being able to be a way for us to get that extra blocker is really nice. We're playing Underground Desert Base, which shouldn't be too surprising. But also this like lets you get out of attack damage, which can be helpful just to get you into the late game too. So during battle, your shield's area cards can't receive damage from enemy units that are level 4 or lower. So there's a lot of times too, if you have like an early desert base setup, they can probably one-shot it with one of their units, but not every one of their units. So for example, if I have like the Gundam with Amaru underneath it and I try to go 6 into a desert base, I could use this Peaceful Timber and then I can just prevent that from doing damage to it. And likely they don't have enough units, or if they do have enough units, they're going to have to spend like 3 or 4 attacks to be able to get rid of the base otherwise. So other than that, I think this is just like a great way to kind of stall to the late game. So this game, once we're able to start dropping our Wing Zeros, I think we're in a good spot. And it's cool to see that kind of addition to it. Also, we can just put it underneath the L Strike if we need to. I know a lot of people are playing Kira, but I know that hasn't been like a super strong card consistently. I think it's kind of, the fact that you get it off of your Burst from Life is good, but it's really cool to see the Peaceful Timber. So we also do a Striker Pack. This just makes you more 2/4 blockers like Ilfrit as well. The fact that it also can just be like a really good burst from the deck. I don't know. This is a cool, I think, innovation on Wing in particular, and it's definitely a build that I want to kind of try out in the near future. So here is the build here from Serimaru. I also want to mention the build from Cameron, which this is more of like a Shenlong Gundam version of the deck, which I think is, again, very, very interesting. Being able to use this to, the kind of idea, and this is also the person I played in finals during my run. So this was, we talked about the matchup a lot. I picked his brain for the build, and he was really committed that, Shenlong Gundam is pretty strong at getting rid of Ilfrit, and I think it's something that helps out in like the blue and white matchup a lot. Breach 4 is like kind of a bit of an unfortunate number because there's so many level 5 bases that exist. So kind of what I've mentioned, right? Like you either have like Breach 0, Breach 1, or Breach Infinity, right? Like, and so this one unfortunately is closer to 1 than Infinity, and so like it just doesn't get not being able to get through a lot of, most bases that exist in the game is a little bit unfortunate, but it does let you kind of like aggressively pressure your opponent, which is really nice. This can kind of get rid of 2 bodies, and if you do have the Wu Fei, turning this into a 6/5 that also doesn't get damaged by cards is good. This is also just like another pilot that can be found off of the Path to Victory or Defeat. Also, you can use it for Wing Gundam to prevent damage for it because the Wu Fei lets you have protection when you're attacking something with 3 or less AP, and then again, you can also put in the Death Scythe and get that extra rampy and everything. So it'd be like the turn afterwards, but you could use it if you really want to get, a 7/5 first strike and get ramp to let you get to the next, to level 8 or something like that. So other than that, I think this was a really unique build as well. And congratulations to Cameron for their finish there. Next up, we've got blue and white. And so generally speaking, blue and white was sincerely the deck that I thought was going to be the most common for this weekend. And at least at Gen Con, I was really surprised by how much green-white existed in the first place. I think it was pretty clear at that point it was the most common deck that existed in the format. It was not the best performing deck. I still think like red and blue, especially since I don't think that many people are on it. I think for each 64 player event, I think less than 5 per event were on it. Maybe more on like Saturday, Sunday compared to Thursday, Friday. But I think that there were probably a little bit more people in blue, white, and I think generally speaking, I think there were probably like 15 to 20 people on green and white for the events that I was able to see. I wasn't there Sunday, so that could be wildly different. But I do think that blue and white is still just a consistently strong deck. It's one that has like a lot of early game blockers. We do have, I think blue has some of the best cards in the game with, again, Gundam and Amuro Ray. And I think this also is like one of the matchups that I actually do dread with the red and blue ping deck, because this deck is able to stabilize and find more value compared to a lot of other decks that exist. I think also like the unicorn build is especially critical to counter and red blue, because with unicorn we don't really have a great way to remove that card in the matchup, and then also they just get to rest the card that we play every turn in the late game for free, which is really stinky. So I think this is still like a really strong deck. I really do like unicorn as like as a unit in general, so it's cool to see that the deck is still working. It's probably not as strong as I was thinking at the beginning of this format, so it's something that I'm adapting and seeing as the meta adapts as well. But it's still, I think, a good investment for something that if you guys want to play it. I just don't like it because it's such a control deck. Sometimes it's almost too good of a control deck, and in a tournament format, I don't want to consistently go to time every round, which is why I played the deck that maybe takes 5-10 minutes or so. But here's the build here from Mano, and congratulations for their win here with this is a runner-up, I believe, for one of the Japanese events. We also do have this Academy build. So this is Mohammed's build from the first day of the Gen Con constructed. This is from Thursday, and I haven't really tried a more Academy focused build of this deck in general. I know a lot of people are kind of saying like, oh, it's really good, like rebuild gets a lot of value. Soletta is also just a generically good pilot. Being able to use this card to get that extra resource every turn is really, really nice in the late game, as long as your thing survives. It's also like not terrible to put Soletta in the Gundam as well, or into the L Strike. Both of these are just like good when paired effects that you do generally still get the value afterwards, and I think this has been like a really strong pilot in those scenarios. So we still have our top end. We have 4 rebuilds, which is the maximum amount that you can play, but that's pretty good. We also do have the Freedom Gundam, which again, all of these effects are during paired effects, right? There's no actual link effects for this entire deck outside of just making sure that you can attack the turn that you link it. But I think it's like really good, the fact that you do get that extra all of your pilots are really flexible in how they work and what they can go under, and that's been very good for I think blue white in general. That's kind of the idea, like you draw a lot of cards, and even if you don't see the right pilot, most of the time like your second best pilot is still just as good in the scenario that you're in. So I do think that it's been cool to see Ariel get some usage here. I still want to try some like different builds of of blockers and specifically like Ariel and like the Academy stuff, and I think this is pretty much like blue white Freedom, right, just with a little bit of the Academy stuff with the rebuild and the Soletta. But they're good cards, and if you don't like the unicorn package, this is definitely something you can try out instead as well. So this is Mohammed's build, and then next up we've got the red and white Justice blockers, and this is Demon's build. And honestly, this was such a cool build to see do well in this one. I would, going into this event, say that red and white was probably the weakest color combination that exists in this game, even though it's the color combination that I want to work more than others. Specifically, I think Justice Gundam has the potential to be such a good card, and it's just like a little bit clunky at times, but when it works out, it gets a lot of damage, especially since you can attack with, this has double attack on it, right? You're being able to play your Justice Gundam attack and then play your token and attack with your token. 2 attacks with 2 cards is kind of unheard of in this game. And I think a lot of people are just looking at this as like a blocker or a way to stabilize instead of like something that you can use to go for game, which is really strong. So we do have just a lot of blockers. We are also playing the Strike Rogue, being able to use this to get that additional block every turn for just one. There are times like, Archangel has been like a really good base, I think, for red and white and just most white decks that are kind of blocker based. But being able to use this, it's cost 2 to be able to restand the blocker. And it's actually kind of easier to get rid of bases compared to units sometimes. So being able to have this on the board every turn, being able to have another way to get that restand is really strong as well. And I think this is definitely an MVP for the deck. We also have Choo Choo's Dummy Trainer, which can do some good trades, and also the draw one, discard one can help you find your pieces. After we would run like I think 5 of this card if we could or more, but we got to play the 4. We're also playing the Kira as well. We've got our bases. We do have our close combat. I also think like you could play a little bit of like this Justice Gundam stuff with having some Academy cards, since you are able to recycle some of your commands, including something like I think close combat could be like a great way to in either close combat or the Battle of Aces. Either of those can just be like, if you need to deal more damage on the board, those are ways you can do that, which is really nice. Also, like refunding like a striker pack can be really, really good. So this is a really interesting build. We don't have a lot of blockers on the early game, but we are able to kind of set them up in the mid to late game. And then if we do, it's going to be very difficult to kind of get through all of them as we're kind of attacking and then restanding with, again, our Strike Roge or our Archangel. So that's the build here. Congratulations to Demon for their X1 finish. And it's really cool. I definitely need to test out some red white as well. And I'm definitely going to test out this deck during this week. So to wrap it up, we've got one green and red Zeon deck. And we did see a lot of red and green Zeon in Japan. It was the second most topping archetype in their event. I only have one of the deck lists from it, so I don't have all of them, but this is the one I know a lot of people believe in. I think it is like a really good aggressive concept, but my issue is that it feels like it runs out of steam a lot of the time. So this is kind of more of a Zeon and Neo Zeon archetype. As you can see, we are playing like the Zaku and the Z Zulu. Both these being able to pressure an EX base really effectively is really strong. This can, again, attack for 3 AP, and this can attack for 4 AP as long as you attack towards the base. Even if it gets blocked, the fact that you attacked into the base at the first point means that you get that ability. But not only do we get this Char and stuff too, but we do get like our late game cards, right? The fact that the Kshatriyas are also Neo Zeon means that they are searchable off of the Char Zakus too, which is really, really nice. The Shinanju is a card that just gets a lot of value by just existing, and being able to use it off the full frontal is good. There's also like the wombo combo of like Shinanju into full frontal into Char's Galgoog into Char. You get 2 unblockable, like you played 2 cards, and then you get to get 2 high maneuver, 6 AP cards plus, which is absurd, right? Like that's just like such a great combo that just works really, really well. So the other cards that we have got Marita Cruz, which again works with the Kshatriya and the Kshatriya, right? The vanilla and the not vanilla. I'd be really tempted to play a copy of like Eurozulu or 2, because we do have 2 targets that let you link with it, but I digress. And then we also are playing the Zanzibar and the Mining Asteroid. So I don't know how I feel about Zanzibar in this build, but it can be helpful for like our Galgoog and getting some good draws. And we also are playing the one of Big Zam here. Breach 4, deploy if you have 10 or more Zeon or Neo Zeon cards. Deal 4 damage to all units with blockers. So could be a good way to get like rid of a blue-white deck. But I think it is like a bit of a high roll for it. But I think that there could be ways that this could just be a obnoxious target that's hard to interact with. And I'm sure that might be the way to do it. I don't know. I haven't played this card and been like, oh, I definitely have 10 cards in my trash that are specifically Neo Zeon or Zeon unit cards. It can't be pilots, commands, or anything else. It has to be units, which we are playing, 32 units in the deck. All of them are that, but just to say like, oh, just casually a third of my units in my deck are my trash right now, that seems like a little bit of a hefty cost at times, but I do think that it could win the game as well. So I don't have much more to say. I think this is a cool build, and I do think that red-green is something I have to kind of look through again. I'm really thinking like Shinanju, you definitely want to lean into like the red part, and I do kind of want it to be more of like a Cyber-NewType version of Zeon Aggro. But again, I think there's a lot of space to test this as well. So we've been yapping for a while. This is going to be it for this event. Again, if you guys want any of these deck lists that we talked about or many more, we've got again like 30 from this weekend on the website. You can make sure to check it out and and I've been really enjoying it. It's been cool to see that I don't think we're in a tier 0 meta, even though one deck, one archetype won 3 of the 4 events here in North America. There's a lot of different decks that are doing well around the world. I think a lot of people are going to be adapting to red blue for this, and I also think for Gen Con specifically, I know a lot of people just built one deck and brought it for the weekend, which means that not a lot of people had access to adapting to what was happening too. So even though it was 4 events, it was kind of like you can treat it as like one event weekend, which means that again it was difficult for people to kind of adapt on the fly there. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.